The family Madrigal has been working its magic for Disney with one record-breaking success after another, and so let's dive into the question of what's next for the world of Encanto, up next. Hi there Waltineers, I'm Jack and this is DSNY Newscast, and today, forget about Bruno, as we need to talk about Encanto, as it's truly transcended the traditional Disney movie sphere and become a pop culture phenomenon in its own right, the likes of which we haven't seen since the Frozen frenzy of 2013 and 2014. And because of that, it's highly likely that Disney will be dusting off that Frozen playbook once again and will give Encanto that same level of treatment. But to better explain why this is highly likely, let's explore the many parallels between Frozen and Encanto in terms of movie performance, merchandise sales, and pop culture relevance. As to begin with, we would normally compare the total box office gross of each film to measure its success. However, because Encanto debuted on November 24th, amidst the Omicron COVID variant beginning to surge, it suppressed the box office performance, especially for family movies. Therefore, it wouldn't exactly be fair to stack Encanto's $246 million worldwide box office up against that of Frozen's $1.2 billion global box office return. And also the pandemic has forcibly changed the way that movies are distributed, as Frozen had a 110-day theatrical release window to accumulate that colossal $1.2 billion, whereas Encanto only had 30 days in theaters, before it was moved over to Disney Plus on December 24th. However, Disney's decision to stream it on Disney Plus so quickly after it was released in theaters is probably the single biggest determinant for why Encanto has resonated so strongly. But considering that we can't look at the box office numbers, let's put all of this into context using some other measurements. As for an example, Pixar's Luca skipped the movie theaters where it was originally intended to be released, and instead came exclusively to Disney Plus as a first-run theatrical animated feature available for the standard subscription fee. And Luca proved to be extremely popular, with it being the most watched movie on any streaming platform in 2021, with a total of 10.6 billion minutes viewed in 6 months. And yet Encanto has likely already surpassed that number, as it racked up over 8 billion minutes watched in just the first 5 weeks alone of it being on Disney Plus, and it's showing no sign of slowing down. And so this tremendous momentum is why in the Q1 2022 earnings report that it was stated front and centre that Encanto was the launch of not just a new animated movie franchise, but instead a new franchise. And this is significant, as we've seen successful animated movies like Wreck-It Ralph, Zootopia and Moana in the traditional sense of having an expanded content universe. But this is the first time since Frozen that Disney has recognised the potential of a new original animated movie to launch a new franchise for licensing purposes. And then we come to the second part, and that's merchandise. And Frozen's popularity was so large that it expanded beyond the Disney Princess brand and warranted its own independent Disney consumer product brand. And similar to Frozen's two princesses are better than one strategy, Encanto's variety of diverse characters with distinct personality traits means that young children are sure to find a character that they can relate to, which so far has led to Encanto merchandise defying the traditional post-holiday decline, as is typical. But on top of all of that, apparently Luisa's merchandise is outselling that of any other character, be it Mirabel, Isabella, Dolores, Antonio, Camillo, and Bruno, although the sales are still strong for each one of those characters across the board. However, Encanto has done something that even Frozen couldn't do even at the height of its popularity, as Encanto's We Don't Talk About Bruno is the first Disney song to reach #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart since Aladdin's A Whole New World in 1993. However, in many ways Encanto's accomplishment is even more impressive, because it is the narrative-based musical ensemble lifted straight out of a movie that has topped the charts, whereas with A Whole New World it was the end credits pop version performed by Peabo Bryson and Regina Belle. And if we look at Frozen in comparison, the never-ending earworm that was Let It Go peaked only at number 5. Although We Don't Talk About Bruno isn't the only song to have Billboard success, but in actual fact all of the tracks have appeared in the Hot 100 chart, with Luisa's Surface Pressure also making Disney history, as it's the first time that 2 Disney songs have reached the top 10 chart at the same time. And so all of this has culminated in Encanto becoming a modern day rarity for Disney, as it has decisively broken through the pop culture ether and into the mainstream. So with all that being said, what's next for the Encanto franchise? And well, co-directors Jared Bush and Charisse Castro-Smith have expressed that they are very much in favour of expanding Encanto's storytelling with a potential Disney Plus series that could develop any of the Madrigal family of characters. And judging by the response that the Luisa character has had, I would say she is most likely the frontrunner. And this does seem extremely likely, especially when you consider that Disney announced on their Investor Day in 2020 that there will be a new Disney Plus series for Zootopia in 2022 and Moana and Princess and the Frog in 2023. But to add even more weight behind the potential of a Disney Plus series for Encanto, the creative force behind the chart-topping music, Lin-Manuel Miranda, is also said to be very interested in developing a series, as he would love it to be focused on Dolores, Mirabel's cousin who has superhuman hearing. Although do bear in mind that nothing has been confirmed at the time of this recording. But then continuing on with the Frozen playbook, there is also discussion of Encanto making the leap to Broadway, as Lin-Manuel Miranda believes that the musical lends itself particularly well to a Broadway adaptation. But then that brings us to the big question of what does the future hold for Encanto within the Disney parks? As not only has Mirabel been an extremely popular meet and greet character over at Disney California Adventure since November, but it was also recently announced that when the Main Street Electrical Parade glows its way back into Disneyland on April 22nd, there will be a new finale float inspired by It's a Small World, with various Disney characters representing countries from all over the world. And lo and behold, at the very end of the finale float, Mirabel and Antonio will be featured as well, which is probably one of the quickest turnaround times that we've seen for new animated characters to be fully integrated into such an iconic entertainment fixture like the Main Street Electrical Parade. However, this is where it all gets rather interesting, as in an interview with Drew Taylor for The Wrap, Lin-Manuel Miranda revealed that he had spoken with Disney CEO Bob Chapek about there being a world in which the casita can live within a theme park environment, where guests will be able to walk through it in real life. And this is extremely encouraging to hear, as not only has Lin-Manuel Miranda got a very close working relationship with Disney, having written music for Moana, Encanto, and the upcoming live-action Little Mermaid remake, but also he's a highly respected and influential figure within Hollywood and Broadway. Therefore, if such an important creative partner is essentially pitching a greater Encanto presence within the Disney parks, you've got to imagine that active discussions are already likely underway for how to capitalise upon the immense popularity and success of this franchise. Which then brings us back to the Frozen playbook, as it was on June 26, 2014, that Disney announced Frozen Summer Fun would be coming to Walt Disney World, which offered a whole slew of new Frozen-themed experiences at Disney's Hollywood studios throughout the summer. And one proved to be so popular that it became a permanent addition that's still around today, and that was the Frozen Sing-Along celebration. So, at the very least, considering how the music of Encanto has broken through into the mainstream, I could easily see Disney repeating this strategy with an Encanto Sing-Along celebration somewhere at Disney's Hollywood studios or perhaps Epcot at the America Gardens Theatre in the summer. However, as Lin-Manuel Miranda alluded to, the really big thing would be for Encanto to get its very own attraction at one of the Disney parks, which once again there are possible parallels to be drawn here, as Frozen and Encanto were both released around Thanksgiving, and it was then less than a year later, in September of 2014, that plans were announced for a Frozen attraction. And so what's happening the following September after Encanto is released? That's right, D23 Expo, where Disney is known for announcing major new additions to the Disney parks. So there's clearly a precedent for Disney to move quickly to capitalise on the popularity of a new franchise with the announcement of of a new attraction if they want to. However, it must be noted that I don't think that we'll be looking at the same turnaround time as Frozen Ever After, as that was just a re-theme of the Maelstrom attraction in Norway, which took less than 2 years to complete, whereas in my opinion, an Encanto attraction would require a completely new build from the ground up, which could easily take 3 to 4 years. But with the previous rumours of the Brazil Pavilion not coming to fruition at Epcot, I think it would make more sense to add Colombia, therefore still offering South American representation, but instead using an Encanto attraction to anchor the pavilion. And traditionally in the past, Disney has always found sponsors from the host country to help partially fund the pavilion's construction. But Encanto's popularity would easily make it economically viable with a great return on investment. And so very quickly, if I were to armchair Imagineer this, I think it would make a lot of sense to position a Colombia pavilion on the expansion pad between Germany and Italy, and in that way you could use some rockwork mountains to act as a transition to the Colombian village from the movie, complete with shops, a restaurant, and of course the Madrigal house as the centerpiece. And this could serve as the attraction facade, similar to that of the design and layout of the Haunted Mansion, as we would enter the casita for the queue and loading area, but then the actual attraction itself could be housed in a large show building out of sight. And personally, I would love to see a trackless ride system, as it lends itself particularly well to the unpredictability of the casita taking us on a journey throughout the house and into the wondrously imaginative rooms of the Madrigal family members. But of course, that's just my own thoughts for what I would like to see in terms of an Encanto attraction at a Disney park. And so, in conclusion, after going through this comprehensive evaluation of the Encanto franchise and just how successful it's already been, I think it's clear to see that this is just the beginning of a very bright future for Encanto. But now it's over to you, Waltineers. I would like to know, what do you think the future holds for Encanto in not only terms of new content, maybe a Disney Plus series, but also in terms of the Disney parks, as what type of attraction would it be and which park would you want to see it in? And if you've enjoyed this video for today, then give this video a thumbs up, perhaps share this video with a friend, and subscribe down below. And with all that being said, I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.